Okay, hello everybody, and welcome to my Facebook Live. I'm Yukiko Amaya, Priestess of Avalon, shamanic healer, wisdom holder, and I'm really, really grateful to be here this moment with you. So this is the Facebook Live Goddess and Energy coming alive. And today I have a very, very, very special guest, Rachel Jesien from River Valley Goddess Temple. So stay on and cozy up, okay? So, before I jump in, I'm new at this, but please say in the comment section who you are and where you're from. If you are on, say hello. I'd love to hear from you. We would love to engage with you. Okay. And first of all, I want to thank the ancestral lands that I am on. I live in Northern Virginia, and I am on the ancestral lands of the Manahoac people of the Monacan Confederacy. They were the Sioux language speaking tribe. And I am very deeply in connection with this sacred land, and I'm really grateful to be here. And do you know which ancestral lands that you are on? Let us know again in the comments. And if you don't, it's a great joy to discover and find out. And sometimes it requires quite a bit of sleuth work. So, goddess and energy, what is all of that about? Is goddess energy? Is energy goddess? What do we mean? And, it's an inquiry. And it's not as if there is a straightforward answer, as you might expect in a patriarchal thing of there is one response and that's it, This is the goddess consciousness is about a circular consciousness, a spiral consciousness. So we will do inquiry in a rather different way. Okay, but we'll be looking at some energetics of what it means to be a priestess and how does goddess work show up in connection with the land. How do we heal as individuals, as community, as members of this amazing earth? And how can we envision and manifest a more feminine, inclusive, and shared way of life, which is more like a circle rather than this pyramid of one person at the top and then, succeeding levels of people who rule everybody below. So to help me out today with this inquiry, I want to bring on today's special guest, Rachel, who is a friend and a fellow priestess of Avalon. Rachel Jesien is an intuitive healer, Celtic shaman. She is a seeress as well as back care specialist and the founding creator of River Valley Goddess Temple in the Hudson Valley in New York State. So welcome, Rachel. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Yuki.
Yay. Yay. Yes. So, we've been doing a lot of crawling around in very damp, cold places all over England and Cornwall and Ireland into these sacred sites of the goddess. But I wanted to ask you, first of all, how did goddess show up in your life?
Oh, well, I think she's been there from the beginning. And I think in many lifetimes I have come through as kind of a shamanic priestess, a healer. I think that is very much part of my soul archetype. And in this lifetime, I was born able to see and sense energy fields, which was very overwhelming for myself and my parents, as you can imagine. And, you know, at a very young age, being born to a super Catholic Baptist family, my father was Catholic, my mother was Baptist. It was one of those things that needed to kind of be quieted down, and, you know, that something was wrong, right? That I kind of had to pray it away, kind of thing. And over time, I think that actually manifested in my physical form as a very severe scoliosis. So I was in a back brace for most of my childhood, with a 45-degree curve in my spine. And it was kind of always about this, like, trying to conform and squeeze and fit in, and, you know, all of these things that actually created this, I really believe that, a physical deformation in my spine. And so I was always a very spiritual child, though. I loved going to church. I was very curious about Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene after reading about them in the Bible, and never really got the answers that I wanted from my spiritual mentors. So that kind of started my inquiry into, you know, what is this whole idea of women being kind of subservient to men? And I grew up in the woods, the country of upstate New York, very upstate New York, near Lake Ontario, just outside of Rochester, New York. So to me, being able to sense this pulse of life within the trees and the stones and the flowers and the animals, all of that always, to me, felt so sacred. And there was always a mismatch of energy. So after starting to do some research into the divine feminine lineages throughout, you know, yoga, you know, I started my spiritual teaching in the yoga community. So got to experience her through, you know, the divine feminine in those traditions. And then, you know, went on to study shamanism in Peru and Australia. And finally, my ancestral lineage, which is the Celtic lineage, and really got to know Goddess through the sacred landscapes that you and I have been able to journey around together. And yeah, it's been quite the whirlwind. But I think, long story long, I think she's always been there, kind of guiding me on each step of my path. And it's really beautiful to now know her names, you know, the goddess of 10,000 names, but now I know who she is and how to tap into her. So it's been quite the journey.
Yeah, no, that's really amazing. And I'm just seeing that there's Donette. Hi, Donette. Mona. Oh, hi, Mona from LA. And Susan Grundy. SUS. Oh, Quebec. All right. The ancestral lands of the Abenaki people. Wonderful. And Linda, she's lived many years in the Hudson Valley herself.
Oh, lovely.
And, you know, what you say is really, really powerful. And I'm sure a lot of women and a lot of men as well, you know, can understand that when somehow the soul's yearning is not met with the physical reality or the environmental reality that we grow up in, that it can manifest as physical ailments or physical. It's almost like something is not able to grow through. You know, what's your, because you are a healer, you know, in your conversation with your scoliosis, what started to happen, do you think?
Well, so when I first started to work with my scoliosis through yoga, I was immediately very freaked out, to be honest, because, you know, as most yoginis know, as you're doing your teacher training and things like that, there are a lot of meditation requirements, and you're spending a lot of time working on the yamas, the niyamas, inner, outer, all of that. And my ability to see and sense energy when I began to meditate again kind of opened up exponentially. And I immediately got really, really afraid, because all of a sudden I started to see spirits again and all of that. So at first I pulled back a lot. And I instead went into the very physical alignment based, like just wanting to focus on the physical body to shut myself down psychically again. And as my spine began to heal and my curve began to decrease, it was almost as if like my soul energy was then able to kind of flow more freely. And it was like, it was something that I couldn't really, I don't want to say contain anymore, but it just exponentially opened me up in that way. And it was something I had to eventually address. So really my healing has happened so drastically in the physical body, but also just healing my relationship to self, right? Being accepting of who I am as a seeress and as an oracle, as a mystic, and allowing myself to then kind of form and create relationships and trainings and find the teachers and the mentors who could be that support that I really needed when I was a kid. You know, so my scoliosis really, I feel like, is one of my greatest teachers because it brought me back to myself in so many ways.
Yeah, no, that's really great, because that's one of the things that I feel is so powerful about the goddess path is this real connection and understanding that we are completely interconnected, you know, with the spirit and the body. But it's not only about trying to fix something, it's about really understanding that there's a gift in the challenges, in the difficult places, and that somehow a portal it's like an invitation to walk through something that you don't know how to. Obviously, in the beginning, we don't know how to do that, so we try to look for different ways. But if we can stay, there was a wonderful thing that a Celtic shaman, I forget her last name, Jane, said, and it's about meeting the land of your destiny. How do you meet the land of your destiny? You know, it's like the soul path. How do you find that? And in many ways, because the shamans are called the wounded healers, right? That, yes, Jane Burns. Thank you, Sarah. Yes, it's that we're not looking at this patriarchal thing of like a linear progress towards the perfect body or the perfect health, that's what we're supposed to attain. And this whole new age thing about it has to be all in the light, and the darkness is something to be shunned, which I think comes a lot from Christianity and from the patriarchal religions of excuse me, heaven and hell. Mm-hmm. But that sorry, in fact, it's in the darkness that we can find wisdom. I'm going to hand it over to you. Yeah. So I can cough a little bit.
Yes, cough out the shadows. See, she's releasing energy already throughout her throat right now. But yes, I totally agree with that. And I think that most of the most profound healing that I've seen within myself and within clients and people that I've served over, you know, the past 12 years has been those who are willing and ready to look at those shadow aspects of themselves, of the places that the light might not have ever reached into yet, the places that we keep locked away in ourselves or that we're holding shame around, you know, whether it's a physical attribute or whether it's something that we are ashamed of or feeling guilty of within ourselves, being able to and I really do think it's important to find mentors and community that can support you so that you're not doing that work all by yourself, you know, because profound healing, I always think of it kind of like a rocket ship, you know, like think about how much momentum a rocket needs to burst through the atmosphere, right? We can't do that alone. We need the support of other people who are going to stand by us and help us. You know, our one of our priestess teachers, Luna Silver, used to say to me when we were going through our priestess initiations, when I would get nervous, I'm like, I'm scared to go and look at this part of myself. And she would always say that she's throwing me a lifeline. She's throwing me a life preserver. that she's going to tether me, that it's safe for me to go and journey into those places. And I think we need to do that for each other, you know, otherwise, you know, we go into this realm of spiritual bypassing, you know, where we don't want to look at anything unless it's positive, or anybody who challenges us in our lives, we need to cut them out immediately, or, you know, and that's not to say we shouldn't get ourselves out of dangerous situations or toxic dynamics and things like that. But, you know, our world is, we're not meant to live in an isolated way, right? We have interactions with people, and sometimes those interactions are meant to stir up the things within us so that they can be looked at and healed. So yeah, I think exactly what you said, kind of embracing the shadow, embracing the triggers as teachers, or the diseases, or the, you know, the physical ailments, looking at all those challenges as ways, cracks that we can allow the light in, is really, really just, you know, important.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. And it's, you know, there are so many shadow places that are so rich. And one of the most amazing journeys I had when I was going through a really difficult time was, in my journey, I was taken into the depth of the ocean, and it got really, really black and dark, and I was really afraid. And I got to a place where I had no idea where I was because I couldn't see anything. And all of a sudden, this glowing being came to me, and she was complete space because I couldn't see her, but she had these silver star-like filigree dress on, so I could see her form through her dress, but she was space. And then she threw these starfish onto the beach. So I saw that I was on the beach with the ocean. I had just come out of the ocean, and she beckoned me to follow her. And when I did, she said, "Look over here." And I looked, and all I saw was black space. And then the door opened, and in that door, through that doorway, were all these amazing beauty and treasures. And I realized at that moment that in the darkest part of myself that I was so afraid to approach and go into, were held so many treasures. And you know, it's an amazing reminder to us, because we tend to shy away, as you said, from those places of challenge. And yes, I agree, it's really important to develop boundaries, but boundaries that are permeable in ways that allow things to go in and out, and that we can learn through practice. And a boundary is not an iron fence that stays fixed, because it can it's much more flexible and organic, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
And perhaps from here we can, you know, go into the question of what does it, you know, what is a priestess? Because we get a lot of questions of what's a priestess. One of the people from last week asked, what's the difference between goddess work, priestessing, versus alchemy versus spell casting?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah. Well, I would like to just take this time too, when we're talking about what it means to be a priestess, and this idea also of spiritual bypassing, of, you know, I think especially in a lot of the new age circles that I have seen over the years, and things that are kind of spinning up, there's a lot of this talk, this like love and light talk. But to me, I really believe that a priestess is a bridge between the worlds, right? We're here to create an environment for healing, yes, but also to be a force for good in the world. You know, it's a very embodied path to me. And I know at the River Valley Goddess Temple, one of our pillars is to create an inclusive and diverse space where we are really acknowledging the struggles of the indigenous people of the lands that we now occupy, right? And being able to give voice to different marginalized groups, to be able to be a force for change in community care, by standing in solidarity with the Black Lives Matter people, the NAACP, who are very active in our immediate community. You know, it's showing up. It's showing up for the people that need it most. And I think that you know, seeing our spiritual work as a form of activism, as opposed to an opportunity to escape the actual real life issues that people face in this world. And I'm getting a little bit choked up today because this comes from the news of Micaiah Bryant, the 16-year-old, goddess bless her, who was taken too soon today by another, you know, Black child who was taken by police today. And when she called for help, she called them for help. And like and this is also the day after the Derek Chauvin just got convicted finally of killing George Floyd. Especially in the United States, we have to acknowledge that this system is so broken that we had to actually wait on pins and needles to see if a murderer that was actually caught on videotape was going to get convicted. You know, and this is the kind of work that I feel like priestessing needs to evolve into, because we're not here to create an escape. Some people might feel that that's different, but my personal priestess path is about making real change and progress in this world to make the world a safer place for all of Goddess's children. We are all part of her web. And when there's a group or many groups of marginalized people who are crying out and need help, I think that, you know, that's a very important place that we need to focus our efforts, between whether it's social activism, social justice work, or eco-activism, to actually bring the material or the land, the waters, protecting them as we want to protect our people too. So that to me is what priestessing is in my personal life.
Well, perhaps as you bring this really, really important and very immediate concern on board, why don't we just hold a moment then, you know, because as priestesses, and also with I know with all the goddess loving people, there is a sense that there is connection. There is connection with all of life, as you say, you know, in the way that it shows up in our mundane world, and that we are also responsible not only of the spiritual world, but also of the mundane, and that we walk both worlds, the walker of both worlds, both this world and other world, and how that can, and how to facilitate and to bring healing to the issues, the social justice issues of the day. But let's as you know, I think you wanted to do this too, to hold a moment of silence for her soul. And I also ask to hold a moment of silence right now for my mentor and great friend, Nicholas Harper, who passed this morning, early this morning. And he was a walker of both worlds as well, who healed many people, and he has now transitioned. And if you feel this energy, I invite you all to just drop the weight of your body into your seat or into the earth, wherever you're seated, towards earth, and feeling your breath and your heartbeat. Come back to you, come back to yourself. If you like, gently close your eyes. And now feeling into the soul of this Black child, this Black girl, Micaiah. And to just give her soul the blessings and love.
And also into the space, I'd like to say the name of Dante Wright, who was taken, within the last week and a half as well. Another young Black man, 20 years old, who was a father, who was accidentally, quote unquote, shot when the officer thought she was using a taser. So we wrap all of the Black and brown people who have been taken too soon in this world at the hands of fearful and inexperienced police officers. And we pray that their deaths are not in vain. We dedicate this space to their peaceful and loving transition into the Great Mother's arms. And we ask that the flames of change and transformation be lit in each of our hearts and our spirits so that we can blaze a trail forward, leaving the world a safer place than when we arrived.
Good, and letting that energy and intent reverberate throughout your being and the communities that you serve.
And feeling it fully, feeling the pain and the grieving that the entire collective holds and mourns for these losses. And know that you are held by Goddess in this feeling. Breathing with it, letting it come in waves, and knowing that you are safe, that the collective grief and rage, that hot fire that burrows deep within the belly, it needs to be expressed and felt. Doing so in whatever way feels safe for you, whether it's with a sound, or scream, or tears. Just stay with yourself. Be present with all of it as it moves.
Alea. As priestesses, we also do work in taking the souls, as we have done right now, but taking the souls of those who have passed and just being with them. There is a moment where there's a period of being in the threshold space. And so if there are others that have departed that you want to connect with, to feel the blessings, go out to them. Then you can open to that as well. And I connect right now with Nicholas, with his giant dog that he showed up in my dream this morning. Mm-hmm. And an umbrella. He was yelling at me going, "You forgot your umbrella." And the umbrella is that which the priestess or the shaman or the poet, the artist, the activist, we all bring to create order out of chaos. This is the poet Keats, Shelley, who said this, that we are responsible for creating a renewed order in the chaos of life. But when that becomes complicit, then it is also our responsibility to break down that umbrella so it can widen the consciousness, where we create another umbrella within the chaos so that we start to understand what it is and where it is that we live in. So deep blessings to all the souls passing from the human body into other world. Thank you.
Blessed be.
Blessed be.
We have the flame of Avalon lit here to bring in the blessings of the lady as she helps the souls transition. And I encourage you to speak the names of your beloved dead and know that they are held in this space, our online cauldron that we have brewing today. And this candle I will keep burning. I will keep the flame burning for the rest of the day. So know that even if you're watching this later, if you'd like to take a moment in that sacred pause that we took to speak the names of your own beloved dead, then you will still be held in that space.
Yeah. So good. So in a way, what you just experienced is the goddess work and priestess work. And it's also alchemy, in the sense that, you know, we are looking at how to shift one thing to another. So consciousness, how do you shift consciousness from one state to the other? And we come back to the fire of challenges, right? The fire of different blockages, challenges, whether it is internal or within society. These are the moments of alchemy. And so we look at what we're going through with the Black Lives Matter. These are the moments of alchemy, where seeing if the fire can be stoked high enough so that more people can experience a shift in their consciousness, and enough so that we can start to shift the structure itself of a society that's been built, you know, for and by very privileged white men. And that has been going on in the Western world for a long time. But you can go to any of the countries around the world where patriarchy has lived, which is most of the world. And whatever the peak of the pyramid is, that's who the society and the laws have been organized for. And I feel that as the goddess starts to come alive in this world more and more, it's not just for women. And at the same time, I feel that women, having suffered so much from the hands of patriarchy, and having that connection with the divine feminine, with the goddess, with this spiral way of being, with an ancient memory coming back of how to sit in circle. And it's not one person who's boss saying, no, you know, you do this and I don't want you, kind of thing, but to be able to communicate, to shift our consciousness from what we've been educated into, thinking that there is a goal or that that's the only way. Mm-hmm. It's only half of the way. You know, there's a whole other thing. We need to know what ground we stand upon. That's the goddess. What is the ground? You know, the how is the divine masculine, but the where and what and the visions, that's the divine feminine, you know, I feel. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, you know, being able to also recognize that when we talk about a matrilineal or matriarchal society, we're not talking about a power over structure, right? Like the patriarchal society has a lot of power over in it. There's usually a white male head, right? And even if you think about it within, you know, the patriarchal religions, right? The idea of a priest or, you know, anybody that you need to talk to this person in order to get to the divine, right? They're the gatekeeper. It's this gatekeeper thing, which keeps that power over structure of, oh, you can't have your own connection. It has to go through this source, right? And with matrilineal societies or matriarchal kind of structures, I mean, even within our budding goddess temple structure that we have here, we're creating in more of like a hive-like pattern where, yes, the temple directors or creative directors who are actually holding the physical space, right, are kind of like the outside of the hive, if you will. But inside that hive, there are people, there's no hierarchy, there are different people who contribute and facilitate the different pods within the hive, right? So it's this creative way of working with each other, of supporting each other, of making space for people's dreams and their goals and their, you know, their own soul desires to come through and have somewhere to go, right? It's like, it's this beautiful thing where it's all kind of working in symbiosis. And I even think about, you know, our teacher, Kathy Jones, who has created the Mother World Party in Glastonbury, right? Of centering the idea of mothers, of being mothered by the Great Mother, or centering mothers in this way of how do we create a world that supports even single mothers, right? That supports women, that supports these matriarchal structures in the world, because it benefits everyone. That's the difference, right? Patriarchal structures benefit a few. Matrilineal structures benefit all, because we're all being mothered by the structure. We're being nourished by the structure. It's bringing abundance and food and clothing and all of these needs out into the places, the societies that need it the most. It's bringing change and activism out into the land itself, because we see mother as sacred, right? And it's many, how many indigenous cultures around the world have lived since the beginning of time. And the fact that we've done more damage to our planet in the last 50 years under these patriarchal structures, these capitalistic structures, when we think back to the ancestors, I mean, you live in a way that you're not taking from the land, you're giving back. There's a reciprocity, right, between humans and the land, humans and each other. There's a general care that's happening here, as opposed to a relationship where I've got to use everything up as much as I can and get what I need to get, right? I've got to get mine. It's very individualistic, right? It's like, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. That's all so rooted in capitalism and patriarchy and white supremacy. So it's not helping anybody, right? It looks like it's benefiting the few, but if we think about the spiritual and mental and emotional well-being of even the people who are at the top, even the greedy people have dry roots, right? They might have a million cars and a million houses and billions of dollars, but if they're not using that as a force for good, then I can't imagine that spiritually they're satiated. I can't imagine that that's true.
No, and that's so that's really true. And you know, it's the power of, well, when we look at how humanity has evolved, it's only in the really, really, really tiny last bit of a few thousand years that it has increasingly come this way, and the outcome of all of that, you know, from saying there is some faraway God somewhere that's you know, keeping tabs on us,
right,
and controlled by, like, you know, a network of a hierarchical priests and imams and different, you know, people. And that's developed into this whole thing of a mechanical universe where machines can do everything. And we've gotten to a place where I think we've really hit the dead end, you know? It's like, where are we going to go from here in this way? Because we're destroying the very planet that we live on. And
each other.
And each other. And, you know, I mean, there's a massive extinction event going on in the world. And we are actually destroying a lot of the ocean, which we depend on for oxygen. We're killing ourselves off,
right.
Along with a huge amount of beings, you know. The forest elephants are almost extinct. Because why? Because we want their ivory. I mean, you know.
Another matrilineal society. The elephants are
Yes.
matrilineal, right? So beautiful.
Absolutely. And it's just, you know, it's just such a horrible, degrading way to look at and to be alive in the world. This way of, what can you do for me? What can you give me? You know, well, no, you're not useful. You know, I need into, and that's why it's so exciting. You know, when I heard about how you're organizing your River Valley Goddess Temple, of creating and trying to create a model, you know, that really, how do we do that? You know, how do we respect each other? And I want to bring up, remember that time when we were millising
Yes.
at the Goddess Temple in Glastonbury? And we were, you know, I mean, both very much leaders and teachers and organizers, and we were assistants at a Goddess Temple ritual that a bunch of priestesses were trying to get together for, and it was going to happen like within 3 hours or something.
Oh yeah.
Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
The complete chaos, because nobody was saying, no, this is what we're going to do. Everybody was talking, going, well, maybe this would work here. Oh yeah, that sounds like well, let's try it, you know. And then somebody else would go, well, why don't we do this? But wait a minute, what did we do before? And we'd be like, what you did before was like, you know, but we had to keep our mouth shut.
Oh my gosh, yeah. You and I are so used to, you know, for the most part, kind of having our own programs, right? Like being the teacher, creating the programs, creating all the things around it. It's very, and I feel like I was very much entrenched in that capitalist behavior within my own business for a long time, right? It was kind of this thing of like my worth being rooted in like, is my business successful, you know? And I think even within feminism, right? Like that's where the pendulum has shifted most recently, I'd say within the last even like 30 years or so, has been women trying to act more like men so that we can succeed in a capitalistic world, right? But that's what goddess spirituality brings us back, right? Is we don't have to fit into that society if it's not really working, right? We women, and not even just women, but people in general, we have this knowing within our bodies that the systems aren't working, right? So even being able to witness at the Glastonbury Goddess Temple, this weaving together, right, of all these different voices coming in 3 hours before this giant event is supposed to come on. And Yukiko and I are both like freaking out because we're like, how can, you know, we spend weeks planning and writing down and everything, and it's just getting woven together in this really kind of feminine, magical way. And the ceremony was brilliant. It was so beautifully put together and everybody had their own little parts. And it just was like, it was such a visceral lesson, I feel like, for me, that I just got to witness that just because our society tells us there's one successful way to do anything in the world, right? There are other ways, and there are communities that remember those old ways and places where we can actually, you know, it's not that the old things don't need to be broken down, but I actually prefer to put my efforts into creating new paradigms, right? I don't need to spend all my time fighting with people on Facebook, which I did a little bit of this morning, to be honest. But, you know, to be able to actually curb my efforts instead and blaze that fire, right? That Beltane fire that's starting to come in now, right? That burst of energy from the springtime. How can I focus those efforts instead on creating something that will last, something that is sustainable, that is beneficial to the many, that is healing for many, as opposed to just benefiting the few. So I think it's really is. It's like channeling all of those feelings, those emotions, that mental energy, that spiritual energy into the things that really light us up. And I think it was Ania Sophia who wrote in one of her books to choose the thing in the world that breaks your heart the most and put your efforts there.
That's beautiful. Yeah. Yeah. That's you know, there's a lot of different business models that have been put forth, but we're still caught up in this paradigm of what is success. And even though there's a lot of models where they're trying to give back and different things, success still seems to be driven by how much money can you make, you know, and that abundance is still connected with that. And somehow that way of thinking, you know, needs to shift. And to be able to shift, you know, from my experience, shifting has a great deal to do with moving into the unknown. And to have the courage to step into the unknown, because we're creating something that isn't known, and to find what that is, what that intention, what that vision is, what that integrity, the place, you know, and it's a very powerful way to receive that, not just by thinking it through, because I think many of us tend to think it through. And when we think it through, we are then going back to trying to pull from the library of known things. But to be able to have the courage to open to receiving, because in fact, the energy is right here in our bodies, in the earth, in the animals, in the air, in each other. It's this beautiful connection between this world and the other world, that the visions can be woven in the other world, and be received, so that because the universe actually really wants to help us evolve. That's what it feels like, you know, that the goddess really wants to help us evolve. If we can tap into it instead of using just my will, you know,
right,
but to open to this other energy. And I don't want to call it, you know, there's this my will or thy will, but it's almost like my will or co-creation. You know, it's not as if there's another will floating around there that we're supposed to plug into, but it's like, how do we open up to this co-creation, at this place where we are creating together, not only with each other, yes, with each other, and at the same time creating with the visions of life, you know, something like that. I can't really express it that well.
No, I think you're hitting the nail right on the head, because I mean, this even goes back to LaShonda's question from last time of like what the difference is between spell casting, priestess work, goddess spirituality, all of that. And I think that that's a big, what I find is a really big difference, you know, because not all priestesses are witches and not all witches are priestesses, kind of thing. But that difference between creating a spell or creating something to bend the will of the universe somehow, versus priestessing, which I kind of find is more of like a channeling of the divine, so that you can be a force for good in the world, kind of thing. As you know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to tell goddess what to do for me in my life. You know, I'm not creating different kind of spells and charms and things like that to say, goddess, this is what I want for the world. I kind of, you know, allow the visions I receive. So again, what you were saying, to really put some value in this moment of pausing and waiting to be inspired by the divine, right? As opposed to like trying to make stuff happen all the time, right? It's that ebb and that flow. It's like the turns of the moons, right? It's like at the new moon, we rest and we receive visions so that we know where to place our actions, but we have to take that moment to pause and listen to receive. And when you act from that place, at least in my experience, I've never had any regret when I act from that place, because I know it's coming from that soul nourished place within, versus what my human brain is telling me I need to do. And the other thing that you said that was great was, I like this idea of, you know, that success is being rooted in this idea of how much money, how much stuff you have. So let's just throw that out the window and redefine what success means. Maybe success means that all the people in our communities are cared for and safe. Maybe success means that we live in symbiosis with the rest of the planet and the animals and the species and the birds and the trees. Maybe success, it means that all of these power over structures are completely demolished. You know, it's like I encourage anybody who's watching today to spend some time journaling about that, right? What does success mean to you? If you take it out of the context of what society has told you success means, what does success really mean in your heart of hearts? And I think by putting action behind that definition for yourself, whatever that might be, is where change really starts to happen.
That's really true. Yes. And it's a powerful way, you know, of these inquiries are really, really powerful ways of coming into that dark places and really connecting with them in a way that's different from trying to figure something out, which is sort of shining the flashlight and going, okay, you know, but it's just a much more feminine way of breathing with that darkness, of sitting with it and letting things start to unfold, even if you don't sometimes understand it. And Hyla says, if we can just become symbiotic with Earth rather than like a cancer upon her. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And with ourselves too, with ourselves, with each other, but, you know, I'm looking at the time and I'm thinking, okay, well, I want to give some time because we can go for many hours. But I want to, because there are many other things that I wanted to touch upon, which we didn't get to today. But if you have any questions, please put it into the comments box and, you know, about what we've been discussing, questions, comments, just bring them on.
I'm gonna say, even if you want to put what your definition of success means in the comments, I'm curious to see, because I'm sure I see a lot of magical women in this chat right now.
Yeah.
Priestess friends, there's MG. When are you moving towards politics?
Oh my God. Yes.
My political career ended when I was in student council, I think.
Look, Sonia Desiderio from.
Oh, there she is.
Yeah.
And Molly feels irresponsible to leave activism out of the conversation. Yeah, Molly, our budding priestess Molly too. She's doing great. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, this is really beautiful.
Maureen, haha. Good. Well, so I don't see any questions or comments coming up, but you know, so I just wanted to let you all know that one of the you're welcome, Mona. Thank you for this inspiring gift. Mm. So there are many ways of tending to that fire that can create a shift and a transformation, or to create that alchemy, you know, within oneself that also influences the outside world. And one of the things is you know, ritual, which is done with focus and intent. That what Rachel was talking about the fire, and then, like, you know, narrowing that channel, that can also be applied to ritual. And also this place of releasing and relaxing and letting things come to you, to be in that receptive state, is I find it really wonderful also to do free form movement and motion, to start to connect with that that place of magic and mystery, which is not only internal and it's not only external, but there is a marrying together of these wisdoms that can come in. And so Monday, and I'm calling that movement Goddess Motion. It comes from Soul Motion, which is a wonderful system, but I'm starting to bring a lot of the goddess energy into these practices of moving and opening. And Rachel and I are going to be co-hosting and co-teaching our full moon Goddess Motion ritual on Monday Monday is the pink full moon. Very exciting. It's the Beltane full moon with a lot of energy in it. And so, yes, there is if you look at the connection, and then Noellen, if you can put it into the chat as well, the link. And it's from 3 to 4:30 p.m. Eastern time. And we'd love to, it's via Zoom. So wherever you are in the world, you can join us. And as you saw, we'll be weaving some ritual and movement magic together. So I hope you can join us. And okay, so here is Molly. Oh, wait a minute. Hyla. Success to me is to be always striving towards wholeness in interconnection with all. That's beautiful.
Sounds like success to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Molly, I don't know what my version of success is. Journal time. Yes. But I'm definitely working through how, as a collective, we can expand our minds to see the bigger picture, to become more aware of her nature and how we can honor that.
Yeah.
Lovely. Yes. Beautiful.
Yeah. Well, and part of that, right, what we're talking about on Monday is we work with this energy, the cyclical energy of the moon, because she really teaches us how important it is to expand and contract, to move with the energies, right? It's impossible to know where, if you're like a bleeding heart, like most of the people are. I know that the people that I know on this right now, I know that you are all such amazing healers and just, wear your hearts on your sleeve. I see so many activists get burnt out over the years because they just try to make the changes happen at their own expense. And really over time, it just takes a toll on you. So the way that we tend to ourselves so that we can show up in the world is so important. I think working with the lunar energy, especially because it's got that built-in rest system, it's like 50% of the time we are expanding and acting and putting our actions into place and working out in the world and doing all these things, reflecting on all that. And then half of the time we're letting go of the old stuff. We're processing grief. We're processing the emotions. We're working with the shadow. It's this balance, right? So, by coming to the full moon ceremony, one of the things that you're going to get to witness is how do we actually work with the energy in an embodied way. And I'm so blown away by Yukiko and like the way that this practice has just been born out of you, which is why I'm so excited to share it, in co-creating the ritual with you. But this idea of being in direct connection with the Great Mother and allowing that energy to move through you so that you can be inspired by that in your life is just, I can't think of anything I'd rather be doing on Monday. So I hope you can come. And if you sign up ahead of time, you will have access to the recording for a couple of weeks, basically until the new moon. So even if you're not able to come live, if you want to experience the ritual, experience the practice, and do some ceremony around the pink full moon. And is this moon a super moon too?
It's a super moon.
So it's a powerful portal. So if you even if you can't, if you're at work during the day or doing spending time with the kiddos and you want to actually do the ritual later, the next day, or within the next week, it's going to be available to you. So, hopefully that makes it a little bit easier for people to come if you can't come at that strange time in the middle of the day on Monday.
Yeah, it'll be fun. And, fun is also good, I think, and to find that joyousness, which is different from the fun in your head. It's a very deep, ecstatic energy that can come through, that connects us with everything. I'm seeing Maureen MG saying, I'm volunteering with a terrific organization called Dress for Success. And what makes it so rich for me is that I get to see the delight in the women's eyes when they receive my support and clothes that together we've chosen so that they will go out in the world in a positive and confident way.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, to me, it's like success. Yes, it's, part of this sense of building up our own self-confidence, and part of that is how we play and present ourselves into the world in ways that really enables us to flourish, you know. And there's so many different pathways towards nurturing that kind of sense of self and where one is and how one is with each other. So that's really wonderful. And I love clothes.
Oh,
Rachel
no.
and I used to go and raid these clothing stores in Boston.
We get in trouble. Yeah.
Remember? Yes.
Yeah. Well, I think, and also resilience. I think that just being a resilient person, that even when we're having the hard conversations, even when we are having to look at the shadow, even when we are dealing with challenges in our lives, you know, that confidence, that it's kind of, I feel like confidence really comes from trusting yourself, trusting your intuition, trusting in Goddess, trusting in her cycles, all of those things. It allows us to feel what power really is, right? That power in interconnectedness, you know, the power that's in diversity, the power that's in, you know, even biodiversity out in nature, right? A forest is stronger when there are all different types of plants and wildflowers and herbs and trees and bushes and all of that working together. That's how we are too. So being able to see that we can be spiritual, sensitive, and resilient beings, right? Just if you're emotionally sensitive, or if you're a highly sensitive person, which I feel like most healers are, especially, you know, that's part of the gift. But now how do we function in a world that really needs our help in a way that has strong roots? So,
yeah. Yep. And that foundation, you know, it's really not a formula. That foundation, I feel, is different for each one. And but it becomes easier, as Rachel says, to find that foundation and to nurture that in the way that is right for you when you are also held in community and you're not just out there trying to figure it out by yourself. Yeah. And the community is, you know, the community of other friends and also the community of nature, of trees and animals. And also, when you start to journey a lot, the community of the helping goddesses and spirits that are also in the other world. And but we are going to, as I said, we can keep on going for a long time.
We'll have to do more.
Yes. We'll have to do more. And I am intending on doing these Facebook Live Goddess and Energy Coming Alive chats. I will probably schedule a couple more for next month, and we'll let you know. And then finally, I also wanted to let you know about the full moon rituals that I'm doing. These are all pre-recorded rituals so that you will be able to do them in the privacy of your home or with friends if you like. But it's a way of, again, connecting with the rhythm of the moon. And in these rituals, we journey. And so I take you through the journeys so that you can meet the energy of that particular moon. And so that's a different ritual, many rituals, many choices, and many moons, but it's another way.
Come dance with us and then take your journey too. It'll be great. That sounds like amazing.
The full moon is, I think at 11 something p.m. Eastern Daytime that day. And so the energy is, you know, very powerful. Some say a day, but I say 2 days before and after. It's you're still in the zone. And yes, it would be really fantastic if you do both. Yeah. And have a really wonderful, abundant pink full moon. Yeah. And last, before I go, do you know why it's pink?
Because the flowers? No, wait.
Yes.
Is it flowers? Yeah.
Yeah, it's the wild phlox flowers.
Oh, yes, the phlox.
Yes. I was hoping the moon was going to be pink, but hey.
Well, I'm so happy and grateful to be in community with you, Yukiko, and getting to weave these special experiences for our groups together. It feels really, it feels very aligned. And I just, I feel so blessed to have you in my life as my friend and my fellow mud crawler. And and I hope this is the first of many.
Good. Yes, me too. But thank you so much, everybody, for joining in, and we'll see you in the next round of Goddess and Energy Coming Alive. I haven't scheduled anything yet, so you'll know when I schedule them. All right. Yeah. Blessings, and thank you so much, Rachel, for your wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yes. Lovely seeing you all in the comments too. All these beautiful sisters. Yay!
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. And blessings to all of you. And have an amazing, beautiful connection with yourself.
We'll see you on Monday. Yay!
Yes, we'll see you on Monday. Those are
dance with us. Yes.
All right. Big hug. Okay.
Love you.
Bye-bye.